Do test on yours.
Test text.
Tex-Mex?
Tex-Mex, test. Turn these off, actually.
Bass checks.
Welcome to the RoadHouz Podcast.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Well, that's
what's up. Sailing through the pillars of Heracles.
But there's not enough rum. What are we gonna do?
Hey, who's that? Is that a city?
What is that?
Last city of Atlantis. Let's get this show on the RoadHouz. RoadHouz.
What's up, fuckers? Welcome to the RoadHouz Podcast, most natural and unapologetic podcast in the world. I'm your host, RoadHouz. Joining me today, producer forever, and this is just, we're chilling like villains today, hanging out New Year's Eve. We might just disintegrate at midnight. We don't even know. We might just get EMP'd and fucking bombed by the Chinese. I don't know.
Dude, if that happened, I don't even know what I would do, man. But yes, this is the last show of the year. Is it not?
Yeah, it's the last show. We got whiskey. Gentleman Jack, because we're a couple of gentlemen. We got some Trulies.
That's what that is.
No, we got the shaker in the fridge. And we got some Coors. And the Rockies are blue, baby. You know how it goes.
Nice. I love it. All right.
Shit. By the time you guys listen to this, we're already either going to be dead or it's going to be like next week in January.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be 2021.
Or it's going to
be another day you're like pissed off at Trump or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, big news, fucking NFL, the fact that the Jets, won their last two games is so fucking absurd. And they might have won the third one by the time you guys are listening to this. But we had RoadHouz Fantasy Podcast League, second year. It was a tough year for the returning champs and second place. They both fucking did not make the playoffs, and the RoadHouz Podcast League. If you get first, second, third, you have an automatic bid into the league for next year. Everyone else, better luck next time. Sports get better.
You mean predict better? I'm not like, I know very, very little about football. I'm like as green as the grass, basically. But you're essentially, if you're really good at fantasy football, you're basically really good at predicting what people are going to do the best in the league, essentially, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, dude, it's fucking. You can never predict. I mean, some people think that they can do, and it's crazy that it's a huge industry that people actually make a fuckload of money talking about fantasy sports.
Yeah, because somebody could be having a terrible year, or just a bunch of different factors can happen.
Break their fucking leg.
Yeah, I'm actually serious. I have no freaking clue how to even play fantasy football.
Oh, dude, I've just always been balls deep in sports. So, fantasy, always played fantasy. But in this year's second annual RoadHouz Fantasy Football Podcast League, first place goes out to Braden Grieve.
Braden Grieve?
Grieve. Graves. I don't know. Graves.
It's related to
Grapes.
Graves.
From Ohio. So we got a
Nice.
but he's a Dallas Cowboy fan. That fucking sucks. You need to turn your life around if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan.
I'll trust you on that.
You need to check yourself. Second place goes out to Sergi B. So close. But you fell victim to the Kamara effect. Kamara won everybody fucking fantasy leagues. Third place, yours truly, RoadHouz. We're fucking right there with it, baby. We're playing. We're playing for gold. Fourth place, Curvo. Fucking better luck next time, bud.
Dude,
150 bucks to Braden. Next year is going to be the third annual. So Braden, Sergi, Curvo, you guys have automatic invites to be in the league next year. Everyone else is going to be, we'll talk about it when next year comes, but.
Like if there's a bunch of people, you would kind of like almost pick out of a hat maybe or something?
I just do like the random drawing.
Yeah.
So I enter, You can either do like 12 to 16 man team, but you want to keep like 12 is like the perfect number. 16 man team is like you draft and you just have a bunch of like shitty players on your team because it's a lot harder with a 16 man team because you have to like with a 12 man you get more better players from the league on your team and shit. 16 is
Man,
you gotta be real strategic in a 16,
really,
which I'm not opposed to doing it, but 12 man's just fun. 12 man's the OG.
Yeah, that's the point, right? Having fun. Doing it while you're having a good time. See, like I said, I'm not too much into football, but if we're talking about sports, did you watch that, what was it? I think it was the LA Clippers versus...
Blazers?
Not Blazers. LA Clippers versus Luka Doncic's team. What was that?
Oh, dude. Hey, funny story about that day.
Yeah.
No, I didn't because I was doing some of my Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
And for you listeners, I know you guys celebrate like that pagan Christmas on the December 25th or whatever that is.
Technically, because they changed the calendar back, that's why it's like that. Technically, it's the same, but if you're following the old Julian calendar, or Gregorian calendar was the one.
Gregorian.
I think Gregorian calendar is January 7th. So our New Year is actually after January 7th. So this isn't even technically our New Year day, or New Year's Eve, but it's the New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we just got it like that. We get to celebrate both. Whatever.
Yeah, that's right. I bet you guys all jealous.
So yeah, our Christmas is on January 7th. So I get the luxury of going to do my Christmas shopping and everything's already like after Christmas sales, but it's a fucking zoo during a pandemic, dude. But
which is counterintuitive because aren't you supposed to be ordering off Amazon or some shit?
Yeah, dude, it's a why are you putting yourself at risk and going out into the world when you could get all your shit? You could get your groceries delivered to you. You could get Amazon brought to you. Like
I like that fact that the people are doing that because it means that they really don't, they're on the same side as us, I guess, for the whole pandemic thing.
But they go out and they yell at you for not wearing a mask. Like, hey, man, you're an asshole because you don't got to be out here.
Yeah.
But I was at the mall and I have my little bandana.
Yeah.
And but I don't wear it. I don't wear it until like someone's like, "Hey, man," but then I'm like, "Hey, relax."
Yeah.
But like the security guard, I was like walking by and like the mall's packed. I'm like, Mo, the amount of people that are not wearing masks compared to the people that are wearing masks.
I actually don't know how I haven't been to an
I think I saw like maybe 4 other people with no masks.
Really?
In the mall up at the Capitol.
So the propaganda has taken over. It has become mainstream.
Dude. But like you're like, hey man, and then like some security guard chick when we were walking by, she's like, can you put up your mask, please? I'm like, whoa, 6 feet.
Yeah,
come on,
6 feet. Come on,
dude.
Yeah.
Did you see that rant from that chick? She was like in a Walgreens or something, but she was like, I'm asymptomatic. I'm not sick. I'm not worried. I'm so with her. I'm like, dude.
Was this the one where the guy was like, he didn't even want her to pay for it? He just wanted her to leave, I guess? And
dude,
she was like...
I don't know. I try not to watch many of those videos.
Yeah, I don't care anymore, man.
The thing is, that's the only way that you're going to not wear the mask. Like, dude, there's so many studies that like already prove that masks don't work.
No, it's
all the places that have the mask mandates and the extreme lockdowns, they're getting hit the hardest. I don't care how many fucking people there are out there. Like,
no, I don't think the only ones that would work to keep a virus away from you in general is a virology mask, which is usually a full face mask with its own oxygen tank and a bunch of other shit, or its own air tank. That's the only way to really keep that away from you. And they're saying, yeah, it comes out in your spit or whatever, but if you're it's a mess. It's a big mess. That's all I gotta say about it.
And dude, like I said, New Year's Eve today, I drove past the liquor store to pick up some tequila.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that I'm even seeing now, like we'd always make fun of the other people that would drive with their masks on, like months ago.
Ridiculous. But
and now there's so many more, dude. Like I was sitting at a red light and like maybe like 10 cars drove by. There was like 2 people that didn't have masks on while driving. And I'm like, what is going on here, man?
I feel like, okay, so there's a bunch of people who are
they doubling down on the propaganda?
No, for sure. But the reason why the propaganda exists in the first place is because I'm pretty damn certain that a lot of these really, really rich people that are technically in charge of the world, right? They are sitting there every single day away from society, inside of their like hermetically sealed chambers, their houses or whatever, right? So for a long, long time, and they don't have an immune system anymore. They have a very weak immune system. So whenever they went out into society at all, right, they would get sick and they would be really pissed off about it. But if everybody was, socially distanced and has masks and got vaccinated, they wouldn't be sick anymore. So this is propaganda. This is not propaganda. This is for them to be able to get out into society again without worrying about getting sick again, because they screwed themselves over by reducing their own immune system for a freaking long ass time. I'm not sure if that's correct 100%, but it's one of the possibilities in my mind with what could be happening.
And dude, this vaccine, like, great, dude. It's a great thing that we got this vaccine out. 100%, because it will help people. I mean, regardless whether we think it's a fucking chip or whatever.
I wouldn't say it's a chip. It's just it's a unique style of vaccine.
It's interesting this time around. I am not, for the record, I am not a vaccine hater. What they did like to combat polio, fucking measles,
and it usually worked. It usually worked.
Pneumonia.
But the issue is sometimes. So back in the day, what they would do for a vaccine is they would take an inert version of the virus and put it into a syringe and inject it in somebody's body, so their body can get used to that virus and fight it off in the future.
Yeah.
Some of those vaccine shots were not inert. They literally had polio in there. They did not. They screwed up on the way they manufactured them, and they gave a bunch of people polio.
Absolutely.
That happened in the past for sure. This new one doesn't actually have the virus in there at all. This new one is a designer vaccine, meaning like, or it's an mRNA vaccine, meaning like they make they make it look like it's COVID, so your body can build a immune response to what looks like COVID. So anything that has like a COVID structure, your body is going to fight it off easier. There's a lot of issues with it though. I can't even get into it right now really because. Here's the thing. It has not been tested long term. We have no idea how the body is going to respond. It very well might have an autoimmune response that can destroy healthy cells, which would really suck for anybody who got it. If all of a sudden they got it and it confuses this COVID vaccine with a healthy cell and it starts attacking it, it can lead to autoimmune diseases 2-3 years down the line that nobody can really, not even the doctors who made it can predict it. So it's like,
yeah, and I guess my point when I say like it's a good thing. I'm just saying that there are people out there that are like, always like fucking scared of germs, scared to get sick and stuff. So they're going to go and take the vaccine. If that puts you in like, if that makes you feel better. Yeah, if it makes you feel better, awesome. I'm all for it. But the fact that like, how hard it's being advertised and pushed. And it's fucking insane that we have like live on air. Watch this politician get the vaccine. I don't give a fuck. Like,
it is pretty insane.
That's programming. Take the vaccine. It's fine. Like, come on.
Nobody's gonna trust the video anyway. It's made to give public trust, but that's not what's happening at all. It's more like everybody in the public's like, that's probably a saline solution in there. That's probably a saline solution in there, But like, regardless, this is an agenda. This is planned. This is 100% planned. I cannot stress that enough.
Conspiracy theorists. Hey, and conspiracy theorists. They've been calling all this shit that's happening right now.
For a long time.
And fuck you guys. Not the conspiracy theories, but fuck you other guys who are always like, oh, what is that? It's like, they're literally, I always think that all these bad actors, these scumbags and politicians, media, they tell you what they're going to do. They tell it right to you. And then the media just jumbles it up and spits out something else.
And I guess the media's job is more to make it palatable for the population in general.
Freaking numb it down.
Yeah.
Because it's like conspiracy theorists were like, they're trying to do a great reset. Like all these politicians, and especially Trudeau, like says it the most. He's like, we're gonna move on to the great reset, and then like. The media, they're not gonna do a great reset. Like,
yeah, exactly. And by the way, that's the original term came out in 2016. The Great Reset, by whatever his name, Carl Schwab or Charles Schwab. I can't remember his name anymore.
What'd you say? 2000 what?
2016.
2016.
For the Great Reset. And, this year, obviously, people started paying attention to it more because it seemed like the World Economic Forum all of a sudden became, what's it called again? Not perpetrator, propagator of that specific theory or the Great Reset theory. And nobody likes the World Economic Forum. You go to the World Economic Forum's YouTube page, their dislike to like ratio is ridiculous. It's like 100 people like, 1,000 people dislike. That's how freaking bad it is. But,
dude, Twitter is a fucking cesspool.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey freaking screwed over one of the original owners of Twitter. Did you know that? The person who actually started this shit, Jack Dorsey and his buddy, screwed over one of the original owners of Twitter, which is wild. That's how they started off doing it.
Oh, dude, that's what Zuckerberg did too.
Yeah, and Zuckerberg
CIA.
I think
or China. He's CIA or China.
There's a bunch of like dark. How do you call it? What do you call it? Deep state refers
He's
to all this shit.
He's fucking weird, dude.
Zuckerberg, yeah, and sometimes.
Hey, are we living through Revenge of the Nerds right now?
Maybe they were picked on when they were younger and they decided to have revenge. But as a human being, by the time that you're 30, 40 years old, you should realize that that's not freaking worth your freaking time at all. They decide. I don't think that they're that petty. I feel like they might have been coerced into something that was very illegal and very, very much like.
I assume. Because I'm just a dirtbag like this, I assume that it would be pretty fucking easy to blackmail some nerd. Like, you bring like Zuckerberg to a party.
Yes,
I bet I could
point.
blackmail him pretty damn easy.
I guarantee you, China has some crazy ass pinhole videos of all these people doing some crazy shit.
China snuck in through the back door, huh?
Man, they have been stealing. Okay, I'm not gonna say Chinese people in general. I mean like the CCP and the agents in China that are like basically their KGB or whatever. They have been freaking doing some crazy shit for the last little while, and they're able to get like.
What is this? So yeah, the Russians have KGB. We got
CIA,
dude.
But like,
is the CIA even part of?
No, it's actually
the CIA is its own little fucking gang.
Extremely compartmentalized. There are people. Jeffrey Epstein.
Like the FBI is America's fucking team.
But even then, they are still compromised.
They're always
it's so messed up. So I'm not even saying, I don't want, man, this is actually not even a topic that it's on everybody's mind or whatever, all this kind of stuff. But man,
I know what else. Like, you know how like all these people are like, we have to back the blue. Like, yeah, I like cops, but I also like fuck cops. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I do. There are some like cool cops out there, but all these cops that are enforcing all this fucking nonsense.
Yeah, if you're one of them enforcing
get the fuck
nonsense,
out.
Like, what are you doing? You want a paycheck, fine, but guess what? You're enforcing it, and everybody who's not able to get a paycheck anymore, you're furthering that bullshit. You know, they can't work anymore, and you're like saying, no, you really shouldn't be.
No, but like also these like. I've already got to the point, like, if you have a business right now and you shut it down, fuck you. Like, that's on. You open up.
You could just do that. And
we got that gym out here that's...
courthouse, man. Seriously.
Blink that out. Yank that.
Why not?
Courthouse?
Yeah, they already got fined. They already got like...
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, fuck it.
Yeah, they already got fined. They already got in the news, you know?
Yeah, and because I saw on Snapchat some people working out because I was like, I canceled my other gym membership because I was like... Dude, what am I paying for over here?
By the way, the guy that did it in New York City, he won the lawsuit. He didn't have to pay any of his fines.
Yes, you're gonna win these are unconstitutional laws. Like, get a fucking lawyer, dummy. Like, you should not be running a business then.
Yeah, well, they're scared because the media is telling them to be scared.
Okay.
And they have so much damn power. It's
Who
sad.
is the media?
CNN.
Who, fucking Rachel Maddow or whatever?
Yeah, I know, right? Why are you trusting these people in the first place?
Who the fuck cares?
CNN lost its credibility.
It's a bunch of dudes wearing makeup telling you some fucking fear-mongering bullshit.
Man. Yes,
they're a bunch of pussies.
And I don't think they're doing it for money anymore because they know the actual goal is not to have an actual dollar anymore. They want there's going to be a status in the future. And CNN might have that media crown that they want in this new world that they want, you know.
All those and no, the thing is, if you take them to court, watch, they're going to say we're an entertainment industry. They're a fucking parody of the news. They're not the news.
No, they're not. They don't give a shit.
They're fucking
it's agenda propaganda. That's all it is.
They're one step lower than Anchorman, but just as funny.
Yes,
just as funny
to watch, but really, really sad to see people believe them. It's a freaking sad sight. Like, dude, they have lost my trust way over 10 years ago, and I wasn't even barely paying attention to the news 10 years ago. But I can tell immediately those shysters. That's right, CNN is a bunch of shysters.
Hey, Fox, a bunch of shysters.
Okay. Shysters also because they were caught. Also, Fox was also caught.
There's weapons of mass destruction.
They were caught following a script from the higher ups. The journalists weren't doing shit. It was just it was a bunch of bullshit.
Is that the easiest job in the United States? To be,
aside from getting like death threats from everybody, because like they hate you so much.
I hate another thing. I hate when people go on social media and they'd be like, oh my God, I'm getting so many death threats because I missed a field goal in a college football game.
What? That happens?
But also, and then I think about like in the gambling world, imagine someone like bet a fuckload of money on a game and then like the kicker missed the easy kick and the guy lost everything and then just went
Did you?
Okay, I take that back, guys. I take that back.
Did you see the video of the Mexican singer from like 1990? He was singing on stage and he killed like a mob boss in the Mexican cartel or something like that, in like the Sinaloa cartel. And on the message he got on stage was like a Black Rose or a Death Note, and he actually continued he finished up his set. He sang. He sounded great. He sang amazing.
Oh, so there was a killer in the crowd, and they threw him the rose. Like, guess what, motherfucker?
He's reading it, and you can see him sweating on stage, like son
puta
of a bitch. And he killed him because the guy raped his sister. The guy raped his sister, so he like freaking killed the guy.
The singer?
No. The singer killed a guy in the cartel that raped the singer's sister. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he was pissed, obviously. But then the cartel's like, that guy's super important. We're going to kill you because of this, whatever. That night, after his performance, he was found like dead in a ditch on the Mexican highway somewhere. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah,
that's not surprising.
That was 1990s though. But the video is wild. There's a video of him receiving the note on stage.
Oh my god,
it's pretty wild.
Can you imagine? So you want to be a gangster, huh? Go to Mexico. Be a gangster, dude.
Mexico is it's freaking nuts.
Oh, you American? Oh, you tough. Like what the fuck's his name? 6ix9ine, Tekashi.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you want to be a gangster?
Sure.
Is he operative?
You think that the CIA kind of took him over as as asset, maybe, possibly, for like being a snitch and everything? Maybe.
I'm surprised he's not dead.
Maybe, man.
Dude, that's two things that people hate in this world: snitches and hypocrites.
Snitches and hypocrites, yeah.
And we got a lot of snitches and hypocrites right now.
Well, every politician I can think of right now is a hypocrite.
Oh, but back to like people that aren't opening their businesses. Yeah. Why are you not opening? You're gonna get a fine. Don't pay it. Yeah. You're gonna get a fine.
Everybody opens their business.
We should all stop paying taxes too. And why are we paying taxes? Like that bill?
That bill is stupid. Stupidest bill.
Come on, guys. Like, I love America, and I mean, we follow Russian tradition. We come from Russians. We are Russians, but we're born in America, so we're Americans.
America has a bunch of different people from a bunch of different countries.
Yeah, I love America. Yeah. But when we talking about my money, I'm a nationalist as fuck,
the only way I would agree with taxes from people is if everybody voted on what the taxes go to. So if you have like a list, if you're paying taxes, you have a list of check boxes of everything that it goes to. If people check like road repair work, bridge repair work. All
fuck
that shit,
dude, absolutely. Yes. I want to be able to choose where my taxes.
That's exactly right.
But then
But they just decide, no, we know what's best for you. No, you freaking don't. The vast amount of people are smarter than you think, you dumbasses.
The government in American politics, they took all their notes from the fucking Italian mob. The Italian mob, when they came, they had a spokesperson in every fucking union of every kind of job. The construction business, the concrete business, the restaurant union, like every faction of worker, the mafia had a head man in their circle of trust for all those unions. So you get a piece of every pie. So even if we did like, I want to check this shit here, I want to road work, they're going to be like, the head of America's road work fucking foundation is this sleazebag.
There has to be a way to ensure that that's where it's going. So this is where it comes to a head for me, because I don't want biometrics. I don't want everybody to have a face identification just to vote. That actually sounds very dystopian to me. But is there any other way to do it?
But you have to be a citizen.
That's what I'm saying. Well, of course you have to be a citizen. You have to be a citizen of, say, for whatever country you're in to do this. But the way to do it to ensure that everybody's vote counts and everybody's like taxes go to where it's supposed to be, would actually the only way to do it would be to make sure that whoever is doing it is like it's ensure that it's them doing it, meaning like they have to take a picture of your face, they have to take your fingerprint and all that kind of shit. I don't like that. Is there another way to do it? I'm not sure. I don't know the answer. All I know is that corruption can exist. Say that we had a checkbox system. People can say, oh no, nobody voted for road work. We all voted for war. So let's freaking go to the freaking let's go to the freaking whatever. Get some oil from Iraq again or some bullshit. Speaking of that, that is not necessary anymore. I don't give a shit if you're going out with your freaking with your big ass truck and everything. I have a big ass, really not big ass, but I have a truck that takes a lot of gas and it's not very good for the environment. But to me, it would just be very cool to run everything off of sunlight, for example. You know what I mean? Everything that's needed. And the technology is slowly getting there, but it's way better than it was 10 years ago. And it's light years ahead of what it was in 2020, the year 2000.
And we're still getting all like the back of the line inventions. Like, there's so many patents that like, come on, let's get this going.
Certain people will.
What do they always say about government? It's like 10 years ahead of the public in technology.
A little bit more than that, depending on what you believe. I guess right now it's probably closer than it used to be. In the 50s and 60s, technology was probably ahead of the public technology by like 30 years. It was a ridiculous amount of jump. And nowadays it's probably about 10 plus years ahead. And a lot of this has to do with AI technology, which by the way is public. There's a lot of AI technology that is public that you can look up. That's really crazy. Like AI can do a lot of crazy shit. A lot of the things that you're seeing online right now, you could be talking to a bot and you won't even know it. That's how good AI has become.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it goes back to that Facebook conversation between the two AIs where they were having conversations with
they made their own language.
Yeah.
Dude.
Hey.
Dude.
Hey, just name it. Westworld, Terminator. Name your game.
No, man. AI,
name your game.
Ideally, AI will be used to help humanity, but you don't have control over it once it becomes smarter than the human being. And once it becomes smarter than the human being, that's what they call the singularity. And that's when AI will be able to create machines that are more... that are actually better than the machines before them. So it's going to be able to innovate on its own, which is ridiculous. And humans have no control over that anymore. So AI all of a sudden becomes the freaking the ruling class, the ruling thing for human beings. You know,
that's gonna fucking suck. If we got to go to war with robots, like we're all gonna have to.
This is predicted to happen by 2040. Just so you know, the singularity is predicted to happen by 2040.
Yeah. All we gotta do is shut down Boston Dynamics. You see them with all their freaking
little dogs and shit.
Yeah,
all that stuff is so wild,
dude. They're building
really cool.
soldiers over there.
It's really cool technology, but it's very scary. It's not even like
you could call this cynical, what have you? But if you own Boston Dynamics, and if you don't have it in your like your business plan that we're gonna build robots we don't have to expend human life on the battlefield anymore. We could build all these robotic soldiers. Like, if you don't think about that, be like, that's a ton of money. You could sell it to all these countries and be like, here's these fighting robots. Sell it to countries. Countries will pay all this money, especially those corrupt little third world countries with some rich ass ballin' dictators. They'll buy those robots in a heartbeat.
So there was a quote, I cannot remember who this is from, but there was a quote about the future being the wars of the future being mostly fought by robots, not like
Chris Pratt.
Was that?
And Chris Pratt.
And Chris Pratt.
Yeah. Chris Pratt, come on the podcast,
human
dude.
being that wants to put themselves in the fight should be able to, because that's their freedom and right to, whatever, go ahead. But for the most part...
You can go ahead. Why'd you say that with like so much sass? Like, oh, you're going to die, but go ahead.
Because like, it's not everybody's dream. I mean, some people want that. Some people want to die in battle glorious, like Vikings and shit. I get that. But at the very same time...
Sons of Odin.
Exactly. And so maybe that's something that should be allowed for in humanity in general. But putting innocent people's lives at stake is not freaking should not be allowed for. That should not be the case at all. I don't give a shit if it gives you more of a freaking turn on. Don't do it.
Oh, dude, fuck some hot robot chick. Anything you want, baby, dude.
Man,
just take those robots. You know that whole Mars thing y'all were talking about. Y'all go to Mars. Take the robots with you. And fuck all, dude. Have a great time out there.
So you're saying a bunch of humans that want to go to war, go to Mars with your robots, robots
like a desolate wasteland, like look like Tatooine out there, dude.
And by the way, okay, so every single thing in this is a little bit off topic, but Mars, Earth, and Venus, you know, we're the three closest planets to Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are the four
Which ones
closest.
are garbage? Is that Mars?
Garbage meaning
Like just eats all the asteroids from around us.
Jupiter.
Yeah,
So
Jupiter's our
Jupiter is the
fucking
reason
trash
why
man.
The Jupiter is a freaking savior for Earth because it is slinging and flinging out asteroids and comets away from us because it has so much gravitational pull.
And like twerking those fucking asteroids away.
It either falls into the gravity itself, like into the planet itself, or it flings it away from Earth. Essentially, Jupiter is the reason why Earth has like a 15 to 20,000 year cycle. There is extinction events that happen on Earth every single like 10 to 20,000 years, somewhere on there. And yeah, sometimes Jupiter can't get every single asteroid, but it still does happen. The last one that happened was apparently 12,800 years ago, and that's what the whole Atlantis thing that we're talking about actually begins right before that. But we could segue to that. But before saying that, I'll touch on the topic I was talking about. So we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Earth is in the Goldilocks zone right now. So Earth is in the perfect place away from the sun with its size and capacity where it's like actually has life and water and doesn't evaporate into the air because it's too hot and whatever. It's the perfect place for us to have like a, you know,
We're in
life.
the perfect place right now.
Almost perfect. Anyway.
But we're pushing climate emergency.
No, we're actually so yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah. So we're actually in a place where we are in a Goldilocks zone, but Mars will be there soon. Venus used to be there because everything's coming closer very, very slowly to the sun till it gets eaten up by the sun. So Venus very likely looked like Earth, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of millions of years ago, billions of years ago, like 1 or 2 billion years ago. It very much likely looked like Earth. Everything was on there like, flourishing and everything. There might still be life on Venus, but the only life that survives on Venus is some kind of life that can sustain like 800-degree weather.
Some parasites, some roaches.
Some crazy
Some roaches.
shit. So eventually when Earth gets too close to the sun, it's going to burn up. Everything's going to be like Venus. It's going to be super hot and super crazy. And then Mars is going to have its turn. And Mars, if we want to colonize it right now, there might be technology that can do that. But if that wasn't the case and it's not possible, Mars will eventually get into the Goldilocks zone and all the ice will melt. It'll create pools of water and that water will create life and it's going to be a whole different cycle again. You know, it's like slowly coming in. All these solar systems kind of like do that. They expand and they stabilize and they slowly come into each other into like over time, and then they freaking get evaporated. And as soon as that star gets all of this stuff in there, they become like probably a supernova and they explode again. You know?
Super Saiyan mode.
Yeah.
We disintegrate.
It's pretty wild. But yeah, I'm surprised you knew that about Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter is the reason why we don't have a crazy ton amount of asteroids and comets freaking flying out our freaking doorstep.
Garbage man. That's fucking Kawhi Leonard. Get out of here. Block.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Kawhi got that injury. He wasn't playing in that game, right? He wasn't playing in that specific game we were talking about.
In the China League?
No, against Luka Doncic. Oh no, Kawhi was okay. He is a Clipper, right?
Yeah.
So
they lost by like 50.
I know that's crazy to me. But the first half,
when Kawhi got hit, did you see that part?
The day before, or 2 days before.
Did you see that mask he was wearing?
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
They were. The Clippers were playing the Blazers last night, and Kawhi was wearing a mask because he got hit in the eye. You know, the mask was like, it's like you ordered something off Amazon, but like they sent you like the wrong thing, and it was like so fucking ghetto. It was so ugly.
As long as you can see, I guess.
Like, you can see like when Kobe wore the mask, or LeBron, or Rip Hamilton wore the mask. Like it was like.
Perfectly
you looked at him,
the face,
and like LeBron wore the black one, the Dark Knight, like just balled out in it. And then you see like Kawhi's like, fuck, he looks like Gumpy, dude. Like, come on.
I gotta look at this now. Man, I haven't watched every game, but this actually I'm super glad that they stopped doing that freaking social justice
Did your Magic
shit.
win today?
They won once this year so far, as I know, but I don't know.
No, they're like 4-0 or 3-0.
Seriously?
They're the only undefeated team right now.
Holy shit, really?
Balling.
Dude, I know that they have won. All I knew is that they won one game pretty handily. I was like, that's pretty sweet. And I have not watched, because I don't have the access to it. The last time I watched it was at Tip's house. And yeah, that's pretty sweet.
I'm only referring to this league as the China League from now on.
Because the last year. Because of the last year. Yeah.
The Chinese own it. If if nothing else told you more than last year that the Chinese own the NBA,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I am glad that they stopped putting that all that political bullshit on the court. I really am glad, and I'm gonna continue watching because of that. Because of this, they straight away from that. But
they don't give a fuck, man.
But-
This is they flow the way the wind goes. Oh, BLM is hot right now. Like we got to put all that shit in our courts. Like same thing with Nike. Do you think Nike ever misses an opportunity to make money? They'll fucking support every cause, and then business as usual. While they support these atrocious causes,
it's
like
kind
people
of an
say.
addiction, isn't it? For these people, that money making is kind of an addiction.
Yeah. All
It's
I
an
could think
addiction.
of, like when we were talking about climate change earlier, all I could think of is Mr. Burns. Like, how the fuck do I tax these people for air?
Mr. Burns,
yeah.
dude.
Like,
How do I get? Remember that episode where he like puts a gigantic glass thing over the Springfield to get rid of the sun?
yeah.
I swear. that's
Okay,
gonna
Bill
happen.
Gates. Didn't Bill Gates wants to shoot some dust at
No,
the
he's
sun?
already been doing it. It's called. It's supposed to climate. It's supposed to climb. What do you call it? It's supposed
Guys,
to combat
these
climate
aren't
change.
even conspiracy theories.
No, that actually has happened.
you just go fucking look it up.
Yeah,
just
exactly,
look it up.
exactly. It's wild, man. It's freaking wild. Oh man.
No, man. Like, what is it? Like, what is it about people when you tell them, like, hey, just Google it? Like, it's not even something that's like Google censoring, but
No,
it's like,
here's the thing. First
Google
of all,
it.
before you
And
say
people
that,
are-
Google it had not censored stuff for a long time, but now when you say Google it, you have to have the kind of asterisk next to it.
Okay,
'Cause they
DuckDuckGo it.
exactly, DuckDuckGo
Whatever.
or some other search site, because Google is actively censoring a bunch of shit now.
Oh, it's-
so.
Twitter, Facebook, everything.
They're all trying to
it's
censor
literally
it,
being
yep,
censored.
yep.
And you know, when I was sitting in high school and we talk about how like China would like censor their public. They didn't have Google. They don't have like Facebook and all that
Yeah, I
shit.
guess they still don't have that. Yeah,
and then you're
yeah.
like,
they have their
what?
own versions
What?
of it. Yeah,
Like what? That's crazy, guys. It's all happening in real time. Like
Yeah.
you're living right through it, and you just like
some people just don't want to admit to themselves that there might be something
is
wrong.
that
you know?
ignorance is bliss. But there's
Yeah, but even then, if ignorance is bliss and you don't do anything about it, guess what? You're still gonna get that boot in your ass eventually. You're
I
still
know.
gonna get that.
you're gonna
freaking-
get that pineapple up your ass from little
Yeah,
Nicky.
Exactly. People who can take advantage of you, who don't, for some reason, don't see anything wrong with it. And I do not get that whatsoever. I'm like, how can you be that person that goes and like enforces these ridiculous rules? How can you be that? They are paying you? Are you compromised? What is it? I have no idea. If you are that person, just think for a second. There's better ways, man. I don't know how to say it. It sucks to see people do that at all, or whatever. Whatever, dude.
It's insanity, fucking Mr. Burns. Hey, Simpsons is fucked. What's up with Simpsons?
I have not. Okay.
Why are they fucking Nostradamus?
No. Hey, here's the thing about The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons.
I was never a Simpsons person. I watched like I can't like tell you what happened in any episode of Simpsons. I just remember like short, like vivid clips.
Here's a story about The Simpsons. The first season one, between season 1 and roughly season 11, best show I have. One of top 5 shows of all time for me. 100%. Really, really good show. And now that you're saying that you don't remember it, I wanna get a collection of Simpsons episodes and give them to you just so that you can see the good episodes. And this was like 1990 to 1995, 1996, long time ago.
Better than Rick and Morty.
That was the Rick and Morty before Rick and Morty. That was Rick and Morty before Rick and Morty. That's the best way I can put it. That's the best way I can put it. Now, everything after
Rick and
that,
Morty's fucking hot.
super good. Yeah, I really like it as well.
Cheers,
But
dude.
yeah, cheers, man. But after that, now,
Happy almost New Year's. And we got some hours, dude.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. By the way, New Year's podcast. What's up? So after that, they left. They left to start Futurama. All the original show creators slowly started leaving, and they started Futurama. Futurama, an amazing show. Futurama is great.
Yeah.
All the seasons past season 11 of Simpsons were slowly more controlled by the what do you call it? I guess you can say the elite in the Fox News Corporation, and they started to like implement certain ideals and certain propaganda in them.
And they're fucking cocky.
And they still predicted a couple things, but that could be predictive programming. There could be a bunch of things about it. And the most recent
Thinking
episode,
about it. What is Fox?
it's just a corporation that
Well, according to the TV, Fox is a TV program,
TV channel. Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
but it's called program. That is
programming people. Yeah, programming everybody.
programs. That's what the original OG name of like channels was programs. TV programming, Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah, I agree. If they wanted. Oh, by the way, remember I was texting you about that subliminal hertz that are not audible, and I was going to start putting them into my music. So they have been doing this for a very long time, since the 80s, 89, 92, something like that. These
subliminal hertz, so that's like sound, subliminal sound effects.
You can't hear anything between 0 and 16 hertz, roughly. Most human beings cannot. You can also not hear anything between 18,000 and whatever, 50,000 hertz. Whatever the range is.
Someone's going to fact check that. Whoa, he's fucking like actually 14.5.
No. Actually, I've tested it myself. My range, even at the age I'm at, which is quite old. I'm not going to admit to it right now, but it's quite old. Even at the age I'm at,
you're fucking Fox Mo.
I'm a 17,800, so 17,800 hertz I can hear. Anything above that I can't hear. So younger kids are gonna maybe get up to 20,000 hertz at the very best. Dogs can hear way more than that. Dogs can hear like 30,000 probably. That I'm not 100%. I just know that they're way higher. Anyway, since humans can't hear it, there's subliminal messages being put into every single track, or a lot of tracks on TV and on music that are supposed to affect the way you feel, essentially, about a certain thing. So if a certain thing has propaganda in it and it makes you feel good, you're going to feel better about believing in that propaganda. Meaning, like, you have a TV show, but they subliminally put something between 0 and 16 hertz that they know affects the human body in a certain way, and they subliminally put something between, let's just say, 18 and 20,000 hertz, right, which most people cannot hear. And they know that this affects the human body in a certain way, so they'll feel better watching these shows, they'll feel better watching these or listening to this music. And that's one of the ways that they get to your mind with this programming, exactly what you're saying. They're trying to program you. Now, I'm also trying to implement that into my own music right now.
Yeah. Why not?
But I have to figure out what those hertz, what the frequency is exactly, and what hertz do the best work for I don't want to manipulate people. I want to open their minds and everything like that. So,
was he gonna be like, play my song backwards, slow motion?
Yeah, you don't have to do that. Actually, you can do it. You can do it. So, man, there's so many theories of how you can do it. You can literally, you can take the entire song, push it backwards, filter everything out above 16 hertz, and because it's being played backwards, people will feel differently about it, as long as they're listening to it on a system that has the capability to reproduce 0 to 16 hertz, which is very rare, because that's like, it's like very slow, but still, it's possible that there's so much to it, and I still have a lot to learn about it, but they've been doing it since 89. That's a long ass time to do a lot of research on it, and exactly what works for, so the programming 100% exists. You are being programmed by mainstream media, 100%.
Oh, like when the mainstream media will be like, after when they said that when they first announced that it was going to be $600 to Americans in that bill, and then Trump's like, "What the fuck? Add 2,000 to this," and then people would be like, "I can't believe Trump vetoed. He's keeping money from Americans. $600." Like, oh man, Hey, what are you doing? Do you see? Okay, $600, but then $600, and people are just selling their fucking rights on pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, there's no point for any of the stimulus. $2,000, $600, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Better to just open
that's
up the
my
economy.
Money anyways. That's your money anyways.
So
they're giving you your money
bad
back.
about accepting it, but do not do anything for it. Don't say I'm going to take. Don't let them say that you're going to have to.
Don't like Republicans and Democrats, or whoever the fuck you support. Do not donate any of your stimulus to these assholes. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what team you're on. Okay, that's cool. I fucking love them, the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not gonna send my stimulus check to Matt Ryan. Dude, just fuck Matt Ryan, for the record. Also,
I'm not sure who that is, but fuck you, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, fuck you. Fucking retire. You're too old. Can't even throw that rock anymore. I mean, it is what it is. One MVP year. Okay.
That's actually hard to do in life, man. MVP.
Yeah, it's impressive, but
impressive.
Come on, you had Julio.
I don't know much about it, but I'll trust
But
it.
What the fuck was that? Imagine seeing 50,
they're playing.
like 80% of that was going to foreign nations.
Every other country bent over backwards and decided that okay,
And that's a tax. We write this bill, that's a tax. Like somewhere that's going to be a tax because we don't have that fucking money. We don't have.
No,
we're in
it's
debt.
borrowing it.
We don't have the money to freaking drop it
but
off.
I guess okay. The whole point of this is them trying to convince people that the U.S. election process. First of all, the election. They want to make everybody extremely distrustful of the election process, first of all. And second of all...
we are. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what the plan was.
You can't look at, like... I don't get the people that are saying, no, all the judges already said there's no election fraud.
No, there is. There's no doubt about that, first of all.
It's like to a point, it's like, okay, what amount of election fraud is allowed? Why are we allowing this?
Well, the thing is that you can't always say it's allowed or not. It's not allowed, but the fact that they were able to do it and so handily because they were able to connect to the internet.
But
and
then the judges go like, "Oh, it's not a big deal."
So
what do you mean it's not a big deal?
So, by the way, did you hear about the list of communists that Australia news organizations got? They got a leak for the list of communists around every single country in the world.
Oh, I heard there's like
2
million Chinese
people.
operators.
No, well, you can say that they're not actually Chinese citizens, but there's 2 million plus people in high-level government all across the world who are straight-up communists that like answer to Xi Jinping and shit, and they have not released the names yet, but once they do...
I did see something about it,
exactly.
but I did not see a list of
not
the
yet.
names.
They were supposed to do it like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And they haven't.
Okay, did you hear about that? I don't know what his fucking position is. Swalwell, he's some congressman, Democrat. He got caught banging a Chinese spy. And she has found pictures with all these other congressmen, but like even, I don't know if it's the FBI or who released the report on saying like, yeah, she was Chinese intelligence. And this guy like is still just tweets on Twitter like, can you believe Trump is doing this? I'm like, oh no, my dude,
there
God.
is something else going on behind the scenes, and their ultimate goal is...
There's a war going on.
Their ultimate goal is bigger than...
Do you think we have active special forces right now in the States, like shooting Americans?
I hope not. If that was the case, that would be. I'm saying like
sad because if there's a war going on in the background, it's like
no,
this Nashville bombing.
It's been about
what the hell was the Nashville bombing? They figured it out in 48 hours.
Well,
all they said was it was a conspiracy theorist.
The main story is probably false, and then the actual story likely is something like Tower 7, where they were trying to actively get rid of some kind of evidence. You know what I mean? And Tower 7, the same thing in 2001. They were trying to get rid of evidence. That's why it fell. There
was an alert. Everybody clear out. There was like a countdown to before the bomb exploded.
Yeah, and that is unique in one word. It's freaking... It's wild to... Man, it's fishy. It's really fishy. That's all I gotta say.
But everyone's like, oh yeah, they already figured it out. The FBI spent millions of dollars to try to figure out if Trump was a fucking spy for Russia, and it got proved all wrong.
Yeah, I know. That was
all wrong. We paid for that.
I've never seen anybody attack somebody more not just in my life, even the research that I've done through history, nobody's been for a long time anyway.
It's a movie. There's a movie going on in the background.
It's ridiculous how much they tried to pin something on Trump because they did not like the direction that he was going. These idealists out there want a specific direction for the world, and it's not just for America. America is the last standing, really, really freedom-loving nation. That's why it's That's why it's being attacked so much.
The Great Reset. It's going to be a club.
It's a whole world, this and that. But guess what? This is just... It's a big... Okay, unless you have a very, very benevolent AI running the entire world, which might be their plan... You still can't trust that because a benevolent AI still has the capability of completely taking over and screwing every human over for the greater good or whatever. So you cannot trust that, all you globalists out there. You're thinking that it's not going to be a human doing it, it's going to be an AI. Guess what? That's just not going to work. I promise you it's not going to work. Now, if you have a human doing it, even if they are the most benevolent human running this new world order and every single country is on one page, guess what? Another 10 years down the line when this human comes out of office or this group of humans do, there's a possibility of them becoming straight up evil and...
Go off.
And just literally just screwing everybody over on the planet. That's basically the whole point right there. Because what's the worst dictator? Like Stalin. It would be like equivalent to Stalin, but worldwide if you allow this to happen. Now, if you, like I said, AI won't work and humans won't work. That's why there has to be this kind of like... back and forth between nations about how to act or how to do certain things, and lead by example. Lead by example. If your nation is doing good and is not doing too much evil, crazy shit, that's how other nations should lead their own people. That's all this extra bullshit that you're trying to do. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be effective anyway. Good luck trying, though. I don't know what else to say about that. But yeah, that's it,
dude. Do you think that AI was the result of Atlantis sinking?
AI was the result of Atlantis sinking?
Or did Atlantis' advanced technology result in its own catastrophe?
Do you think that Atlantis might have had the capability to have AI, and that's the reason why they ended up sinking? That's a possibility.
I think that we don't fucking know.
We don't, because this was before the last. This was before the last.
If the whole world got fucking nuked, like everyone died, we're not just gonna have guys who know how to. Like, we're not just gonna have like survivors that know how to do shit.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? Well, there'll be like maybe like tribes of survivors here and there. Okay, do we have an electrical engineer?
Probably
do we have
not.
a mechanical engineer?
Not.
Like,
Do
we have a physicist? Do we have a doctor?
So speaking of,
do we have anyone that knows anything about the speed of sound or sound barriers? Or
so speaking of that, yeah,
do we have any nuclear physicists? Oh no, we don't. Oh, do we have any books? Oh, there's no books. Well, how the fuck are we? So how do we not know that Atlantis got destroyed? How do we not know that? Because they say, the rumors have it that they were the most advanced technological society.
So if they were a closed society and they were the most advanced, yeah, they could have easily gotten to the point where they had computer technology and AI, and they decided, hey, let's just allow AI to control everything, and then that point might have triggered the cataclysmic event. So if that was the case, that means that that's probably going to happen to us very soon, because okay, so we're talking about Plato and Atlantis right now, so we can probably segue into this pretty easily right now. But
we gotta take some. I gotta piss out of my huge dick.
Me too. After you're done, I'm gonna do that. But there's a specific point I was gonna try to make with this, and we'll get to it after this. Yeah. All right.
So we got finally, we've been working on this, bringing back this RoadHouz Conspiracy Corner with Atlantis. You could call it Conspiracy Corner, but we're just
talking about
shit in history from the most real perspective.
Interesting shit, yeah. Interesting stuff from the past it has the same energy as like a Conspiracy Corner, because people still are doubtful about, all of this kind of stuff, because Plato technically did write a lot of fiction, but he also wrote a lot of fact, and sometimes he mixed the two together. So this could be fact, and the fact that he got it from a bunch of Egyptian priests, which is really interesting. He said that I believe the guy's name was Solon. Solon was like a. Hang on, I have it written.
Atlantis.
So if you guys don't know what Atlantis is, they say that Atlantis is a fable, but they say it's a fable written by the famous philosopher Plato. Plato studied it in depth, and all the people that study Atlantis of today, they always end up gravitating to Plato. So out of all the knowledge that we have currently on Atlantis, I would say that Plato's the godfather of the research on Plato.
He was literally the only person the only living text that is existing today was from Plato.
So what is Atlantis? If you guys don't, some say it was a continent, some say it was an island. But the continent, they said it was a very advanced technological, a warring nation that had many civilizations throughout the world. Party time, baby.
What's the reasoning behind why Atlantis has not been found yet. For example, a lot of people will say, yes, it's just allegory, it's just fiction that he wrote, and there's nothing that came about it because there's no proof of it. But there's a bunch of different places on this planet that it might have existed. But even then, even if it did not exist in those places, you got to remember, if there's an extinction level event, there's a lot of things that could happen. For example, if a gigantic comet hit back then, and I believe that there was actually evidence of that comet hitting back then, and if I recall, that comet's name was the Clovis comet.
Man, see, they don't want you to know about Atlantis.
So 12,000 years ago, fragments of a massive asteroid likely hit Earth. The Clovis comet. This would have affected every civilization at the time. The Younger Dryas period was what they called this era, this period, and basically somehow there had been humans or certain tribes or civilizations that survived with this knowledge of this catastrophe, spread it on to the Egyptians, and the Egyptian priesthood told Solon, and Solon told Plato, and Plato wrote it in his book. And that's the only like actual evidence that we have that this place even existed in the first place. There's a bunch of really cool freaking areas around the world that look like what Plato described. There's probably like a good like 3 or 4 of them that I kind of like think that might be.
Here's a theory by Plato, end quote. For these histories tell a mighty power which unprovoked made an expedition against the whole of Europe, Asia, into which your city put an end. This power came forth out of the Atlantic Ocean, for in those days Atlantic was navigable.
What would that mean, though?
Now, in this island of Atlantis, there was a great, wonderful empire which had rule over the whole island and several others.
That's what Plato said?
That was one of his quotes
from the Critias or the Timaeus or whatever.
So Plato said that Atlantis came to a catastrophic end by 9,500 BC when a great flood destroyed its cities and culture and all but wiped out its people. Its capital was called Poseidon, after, the sea god, and it went under the waves in a single, it was so catastrophic. It was such a catastrophic event. They say it disappeared in one day. Later in Plato's dialogue, he went into he had some more detail. At the center of the island, near the sea, these are in quote by Plato. At the center of the island, near the sea, was a plain said to be the most beautiful and fertile of all plains. And near the middle of this plain, about 50 shades inland of hill, no great size, there was 2 rings of land and 3 of sea like cartwheels. In the center was a shrine sacred to Poseidon and Cleito, surrounded by a golden wall through which entry was forbidden. What Plato described was it was a city that it dominated the Mediterranean. And it was very wealthy, very cultured, works of art, and higher technology. They say that they had, and this is speculation, gas balloons, crystal-powered TVs, which are not Plato's words, but that's what researchers of today were coming up with.
That's interesting. I would say, I would ask those researchers how they came up with that specific conclusion. But yeah, there is a bunch of different places that we think that it could have been, specifically because these concentric rings that he was talking about, Plato was talking about, do exist on Earth today. In fact, not even underwater, but above water. A couple of them being Doñana, Spain. Underneath the mud in Doñana, there is a circular structure, and also like a very, very similar to what you would think Atlantis would be today, a circular structure and also a methane layer in the soil. If that means that there is also hints of a deposit of animal and plant life sealed there from something that was catastrophic, and usually that's how they determine when something catastrophic happened. The methane layer, everything died, and everything got caked into the freaking earth essentially, and then everything above it, sedimentary, whatever we want to call it, dirt and everything was above that. So Doñana, Spain is one of the areas which would be considered possibly where Atlantis was. The issue is there's no roads structure or buildings anymore. Like there are other places in the past, there are other places in the world, like in Japan or off the coast of Cuba, I don't know if you know this, but off the coast of Cuba, there's actually there's a bunch of there's an area, not an area, there's actually like structures underwater off the coast of Cuba and off the coast of Japan that look like actual like streets and like things like that were actually pushed under the ocean probably 10,500, 11,500 years ago, the exact same time that this happened. It's unlikely that those were Atlantis, because when Plato describes Atlantis, he said it was beyond the pillar of Hercules, or Heracles, I guess, and that means...
Yes. It was outside the pillars of
Heracles or Hercules. I think that's where Hercules came from, but they call it the Pillar of Heracles, and that would mean that it would probably be in Spain. So, or the place I was talking about earlier. That's why the other ones did not make as much sense, I guess is the best way to put it.
A real side note, they think that when I say they, I have all my citations in here, but when I say they, the researchers, the quote unquote experts that study. So when I say experts, you just got to listen to them, you know, that's how it goes, right? You just got to listen to the experts that say whatever about Atlantis.
No.
They say that bananas were started in Atlantis.
You think so?
That was one of their main crops.
Genetically modified from a different crop?
This guy. Oh, I got to tell you about this guy. Edgar Sayce,
All right.
a.k.a. the Sleeping Prophet. Edgar Sayce was 1877 to 1945. He was a popular psychic known as the Sleeping Prophet. What is that, Snorlax? Famous for making predictions and diagnosing illnesses while he was in some sort of trance. I'm probably on mushrooms.
Yeah, something psychedelic, I guarantee you. By the way, I will tell you something about Plato in a bit here. But yes, yeah, all right.
And so this dude, he had a lot to say about Atlantis, including predicted that it would rise again. When? According to Sayce, the people of Atlantis had gas balloons, planes, submarines, and people have found like cliff drawings of things that looked like planes.
Well, I've seen that before, but that was in Egypt, I believe. There was a lot of Egyptian...
and they think that Egyptians are a descendant of Atlantis.
That makes sense. Like I was saying.
But there's also another theory that the inhabitants of Atlantis were the Nephilim. And if you guys don't know about the Nephilim were the fallen angels that came to Earth and then started breeding with human women.
Okay, so before you
go
any further, let me read this. It starts right here. Plato took psychedelics in a brew called kykeon. He believed before this life we were beings of light and spirits, and this life is learning what we already knew. We are each spiritual beings going through this life experience in order to learn love and wisdom. The biggest obstacle to overcome in his mind was fear of death, etc., that kind of thing. Another challenge is to shake off these emotions. So you get all these emotions, anger and hatred and all this stuff. You shake them off and you become more like this is what he believed in, by the way. He says that he could not prove this, but he believes
in it. They say that's the Nephilim mixing the DNA.
I'm getting to that right now. So to shake off the emotions that detract from having a good human experience, anger, resentment, etc. After death, he believed our consciousness goes on, but we need to confront all the emotions and events in our life that weighed us down. He also believed that there were interdimensional beings who were involved in our human experience. Believed these people, they were like people living, but they were living in islands in the sky, who were more advanced, lived longer, and know more about the nature of the cosmos. They are similar to us. He also said powerful beings who he would call children of God did intervene in the evolution.
Yes.
That's
the Nephilim right there.
The Nephilim. He also said that...
If you go back to the Old Testament.
Yeah, he also said that Earth goes through many extinction level events that reset the world. He says there are things he would not... These are things that he could not prove, but he did believe in them out of experience because of probably taking that psychedelic drink, the kykeon. The kykeon was not thought to be psychedelic, but likely it was because it was supposed to be
the present day ayahuasca, probably.
but they added psychedelics to it so that they can find these. But yeah, you're right. The Nephilim. Yeah, exactly. There's truth in what he's saying here.
So back to Sayce. Sayce said that the Atlantean society was divided into two long-lived political factions, as present day. Quote-unquote, good faction called the Sons of Law of One, and an evil group known as the Sons of Belial.
Belial. Yeah, you're right. Belial, 100%. That's freaking like the devil, almost in a sense.
Baal?
No, not Baal. Belial is different, I believe, than Baal.
Saisi maintained that many people alive today are the reincarnations of Atlantean souls who must now face similar temptations as they did in their past lives.
That's the reincarnation theory. That's like the rebirth theory, essentially. And that's not on. And I actually do believe that to an extent. I'm not going to lie. That's actually something that's actually very, very close to what I believe in because, so in my experience, what we have gone through in this life, I guess you can say, is if you do a good enough, okay, man, maybe I said this before in a podcast, I'm not sure. If you do a good enough job in this life and you do good, you are allowed to choose what you want to be in the next life, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Or who you want to be and what you want to be.
The Hindus are balls deep in.
Yes, exactly, yeah. We were talking about this last time with George, I guess. You know how if you were to, what would you like to re-experience the most in your life type of thing? If you were reborn again, wouldn't it be fun to re-experience everything? And if you're a good human being, wouldn't it be a good reward to be able to re-experience everything?
What if you came back as like a cockroach or something?
The only reason why you'd come back as a cockroach, is A, if you chose it, or B, if you were such a bad human being that God was like, no, you're not going to get to choose anymore. I'm going to send you back however I want to send you back. If I send you back at all, essentially, you know? That's why the evil people are not going to have a chance. Essentially.
A cucaracha?
Or whatever it is, something torturous, you know. So all the evil people in the world will, when they die, because they have free will, they can do what they want. They can screw people over, right? But when they die, they don't have a choice anymore. They literally either get cast out into nothingness, and God does not hell or whatever you want, does not have any remorse for their souls at all, or they get reborn into something that is torturous and painful. Maybe it could even be like a dog with cancer or some shit, whatever kind of crazy shit you can think of, right? That's just not freaking fun to go through. And depending how bad they are in life, they might actually go through that multiple times before God forgives them for what they did in life.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Plato's thoughts as well, and he did this so long ago. He thought of it so long ago, and it's just very, very coincidental to me that Plato thought of this while on psychedelics. And if you go on psychedelics now, you ask the correct questions, you will find the same answer, and it's not even an issue. You just do it, and it's there. It's there
after about 4 grams.
4 grams and 4 times.
Total side note on Logan Paul. You know who Logan Paul is?
Yeah.
On his podcast, he had Mike Tyson recently. They're talking about shrooms.
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson, they had a bunch of shrooms. If you watch it on YouTube, they had a bunch of shrooms, and Mike Tyson's like telling some dude to eat it. He's like, I'm not going to eat it. Mike Tyson's, give it back to me. Mike Tyson ate 4 grams of shrooms in like the first 15 minutes of the podcast.
That's awesome. I freaking love it. And I know he loves shrooms because he did the same thing on Joe Rogan's podcast. He loves shrooms. And there's a reason for it. You cannot take it too often. That's the number one thing. You have to give yourself rest in between times.
I can see Mike taking it like every day.
You can't. It won't do the same thing. It really won't do the same thing. It just does not work unless you give yourself some time because you're almost asking for the time of a spiritual being, and the time of a spiritual being is worth a lot, I guess, and it's not always going to be able to be in your, like, you can't do it every day. It has to be like once, man, freaking in a long time. But regardless, I totally am. He knows what's up, and it does help people. It really does help people. I don't say do it. I wouldn't say do it willy-nilly. You have to be in a good mindset, and that's about basically all I can say. You know, don't do it too young either, because if you do it too young, you're gonna be wondering what reality is. You're gonna be marshmallow probably. Yeah, exactly.
What is life? Back to Saisi. Where the fuck is Atlantis? He predicted that evidence of Atlantis would be found in 1968-1969 off Bimini, a chain of islands in the Bahamas. And in that year, there was an underwater explorer named David Zink who was aware of what Stacey had predicted, and he set sail and located a quote-unquote sunken wall off the coast of Bimini, along with some other artifacts. But debunkers, Facebook checkers, claim that the divisions in the underwater rock formation he found were natural and not man-made. But Casey's, however the hell his name is pronounced, his supporters believe otherwise. There were some authors, as Professor Aricio Nunes dos Santos, suggests that India was the Atlantic colony, as was ancient Egypt. Professor Santos, who he said he based his theories on research in geology, astronomy, paleontology, archaeology, linguistics, euthnology, comparative mythology, comparative religion, and philosophy. So he took a big old bowl of a bunch of shit and put it in one.
Which is usually the right way to do things. Yeah. Then you can sort yourself out what the right
just put
answer
the whole Skittles bag in your mouth.
I'm telling
that's
you,
how it goes.
For all these people, all these scientists that are like focusing on one field, listen, man, you will be exponentially more effective in figuring out how the world works if you go into multiple fields. Even if it's like 10% a different field, 10% a different field, and then 70, 80% your own field, it's still exponentially more effective by learning what other parts of the thing are. So this actually makes sense a lot.
But get this, dude. Professor Santos, not only did he put all that jambalaya into a wok, he was also professor of nuclear physics at Federal University in Brazil. And so he struck out on his own in coming up with a new location for Atlantis, placing it firmly under what is now South China Sea. And he was saying that the Indonesian islands are all that is left. And he has a book where he talks about this. It's called the Atlantis, the Lost Continent Finally Found. And on his website, it's www.atlan.org. And in his answer to the question of what was Atlantis, he said, in quote, Atlantis was a continent of Atlantic Ocean where, according to Plato, that's where I say it, everything always goes back to Plato, an advanced civilization developed some 11,600 years ago. Plato affirms that as the result of a huge volcanic cataclysm.
So you're talking, I know exactly what you're talking about.
What mountain was that? Mount Atlas?
You're talking about the Minoans and the Santorini, I believe.
And they say like a great pyramid was like an homage to the great mountain on Atlantis.
Some people thought the Minoans and Santorini was an allegory for this particular fable, I guess you can say, but I don't think it is a fable. But you know, they had plumbing, they had airflow management, they had multi-level buildings, and there was a catastrophic volcanic eruption that destroyed them. It wasn't sunken and was not in the right location though, so it wasn't sunken into the sea. It was a volcanic, and Plato specifically said it was sunken into the sea. So that's why they didn't think that the Minoans and Santorini was Atlantis. And by the way, there's multiple different things that it can be. There's another one called a Rikal structure. It's called the Eye of the Sahara. It's in Mauritania, and basically it's landlocked as Plato described, and it is very, very similar to how Atlantis should have looked, like concentric circles. It's about 50 kilometers wide. It has a bunch of different things, but the only issue with the recast structure is that there was no evidence of anything existing there ever. No streets, no buildings destructed there, nothing like that. So it's kind of like a random circle. I have no idea how the circle got there. It looks very, very similar to what we're talking about, but there was nothing, no evidence of anything existing there. And I doubt everything that Atlanteans made was biodegradable so that we couldn't find it, but that might be the case. Maybe they got so freaking hardcore into it that everything was biodegradable. So everything they created was and they found out how to make copper biodegradable in that case, because they were a huge fan of smelting copper and making copper into certain things, as you were saying earlier. Yeah,
speaking of the copper, so there's a recent finding of an item of proof found by J.M. Allen. And Allen gives is Plato's mention of a gold copper alloy known as aurichalcum. Can
I see that?
Orichalcum, baby. Orichalcum. And that he maintained, so J.M. Allen maintained that this was, it was found in the Andes mountain range. Allen also says that the very Atlantis is derived from two Native American words, ATL, Atlanta, no, just kidding, meaning, ATL is meaning water and Antis meaning copper. So that was one of their huge fucking...
Copper and water. Copper is a very, very unique substance as well. People love gold and silver, but copper is actually very, very unique and has its own crazy properties.
Oh, yeah. They said that so Atlantis was the destruction of Atlantis was the result of volcanic action, while there was some people that say it was caused by a nuclear conflagration. And do they have nuclear energy on Atlantis? Is that what this is trying to say?
So hang on. There's a lot to that. It feels like, okay, so another thing about Atlantis is people think that, it's a utopia. No, it's not. It was a warring nation, and it also had like a ton of its own problems. There was people that were extremely quote unquote sinful in that city, and to the point of like Greece and
it comes up to the political faction of two. The good one. We said it earlier, 5 minutes earlier.
If Plato was right, and there are other people watching over, Earth in islands in the sky, and they and when they realize a certain civilization is not acting like how they should be, they can easily destroy that civilization and how they want to. So if Plato was right, Atlantis died. Atlantis was destroyed because of their. I can't explain this any other way, but their quote unquote sins. They were not acting how they were supposed to be acting. Like, okay, these guys aren't acting how we want them to act. They aren't acting how civilized beings should act. Let's freaking restart it and see if we can do it again. Almost like a petri dish. Earth would be like a petri dish in a sense, in that say. For these advanced beings that are trying to populate the Earth with specific beings that they can cohabitate with. So aliens, quote unquote, would want to create a being out of the beings that were on Earth, and what do you call it? Help them become intelligent and smart. But if they disrespect their ideals, then they will be destroyed and tried again.
I got something for you right here.
Sure.
To piggyback on what you just said, there was this Irish author and researcher. His name was Michael Tsarian. T's probably silent, or maybe the S is silent. It's whatever. Michael Tsarian. So in his theory of Atlantis was it was part of an ancient continent of Appalachia, where he believed it was the base of an extraterrestrial race referred to in the Bible, the Old Testament, as the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Caesarean disease. Caesarean says that these beings had been pursued. And if you guys don't know about the Nephilim, like, that's a whole separate podcast. Look it up on yourself. They're giants, fallen angels.
We very well might revisit this many times in the future, because this is the previous civilizations and on the Earth. We're like literally a small splinter of a fragment of life on this Earth. There could have been so many different types of human beings before us, like hundreds of thousands of years ago, 200,000, millions of years ago. There's so much we can actually talk about with this particular subject. And it is heavy, and yes, we are a little bit sporadic with it, but yes, yeah.
We have been taking shots.
Yeah, and we're super drunk too. But regardless, we're just trying to keep your minds open. I don't know what to say. And entertain you. We're trying to entertain you, and that's what's up.
And Caesarean also said, so these beings, the Nephilim, they've been pursued here from elsewhere in the universe. He said that they tried to convince their pursuers that they were on an existing water planet called Tiamat. I don't know how it's actually pronounced.
Tiamat?
Yeah, Tiamat.
Tiamat, yeah.
They were, they said that they were on Tiamat while they were actually hiding on Earth. This ruse worked, and Tiamat was incinerated. That's how much they didn't like these guys, and broke up, causing the asteroid belt, as well as having a completely devastating effect on the Earth, when a large part of its oceans fell, they caused massive deluges.
Deluge is like a whole bunch of water coming in
Yeah.
at once, like a flood almost.
Hey,
It's a flood.
this is a side note, but they have black holes in the ocean.
They have
Like, I always saw on these science websites, there's like the equivalent of a space black hole. They have it. We have it in the ocean.
where did you hear that? I
It's
would love.
online. That
I'm gonna look that up because if that was the case, there would be so much gravitational pull there that it would literally, it would like suck up the entire Earth and everything around it, including the solar system. So black holes inside of the Earth itself would be very, very fascinating, but I don't think that exists. Mathematically equivalent, meaning that compared to the mass of the Earth, these things are sucking in so much that they probably are equivalent to a black hole, but not an actual black hole. So yeah, these do exist. These eddies do exist. I remember that.
it just sucks you into the core of the Earth.
But the amount of
Do we have a hollow Earth?
that's an interesting topic as well. I'm not sure because I've never been there, and we can only dig down to like a couple miles, and it's way bigger than a couple miles. It's way bigger than a couple miles.
So we have a future hollow Earth episode
Possibly, I would say the center of the Earth,
because
is
America's
probably-
made out of a cave system.
Yeah, but okay, so the center of the Earth is probably still like a conglomerated mass, like a molten lava. But everything in between there is iffy because it could be solidified. It could be very much hollow.
Look at the cave system.
Yeah.
Look at
There's caves
look at a
everywhere.
map
There's
of the
caves
cave systems of
everywhere.
the United States and
So many caves.
watch the Missing 411 documentary.
Dude.
So good. I gotta get back to this Irish fuck,
This
Caesarean.
Irish fuck. Yeah.
His idea and all of his theory was explained in his book of detail called Atlantis, Alien Visitation, and Genetic Manipulation, where he also explained that Atlantis wasn't a center of advanced human civilization, but rather it was the creation of alien beings that were colonizing Earth. And if you want to get back to the Old Testament, we just call them devils.
You know what? That's actually a really interesting theory. So they think that aliens went to Earth and they decided to sequester themselves from all humans outside of themselves, but they still look like humans.
We've always
because-
heard about demons possessing people.
So they looked like they were able to make at the very least they were able to make other humans believe that they look like humans. So they could have had
Yeah.
some sort of cloaking device, right?
But the Nephilim are said to be giants. Like you can
but
clearly tell they aren't
and by the
human.
way, and if they were that smart, if they were alien giants. By the way, makes 100% sense because think about this: if there was another blue marble out there, right? If there's another Earth out there, right? But it's much bigger than Earth. Everything that evolves on that Earth is gonna be bigger than what we have on Earth. So their humans are gonna be 10, 20 feet tall, and they got to the point where they were able to leave their Earth and then come to our Earth. And at that point, they're like, oh, cool, there's a bunch of really kind of intelligent people here. We might want to mess with these bitches. And then they kind of like settled on Earth in Atlantis, for example, and, started manipulating everything around them and interjecting their DNA into the whatever primates or humans.
Banging those sleuths, dude.
And then human beings came to be. And then another
Bigger is always better, right?
Unless you're talking about something that's going to crush you, I guess.
Yeah.
But they might have manipulated who we were originally because they thought there was potential in this planet. And this does not, by the way, before any religious person says, hey, this is sacrilege or whatever, this does not mean that these advanced beings do not believe in God either, because God is all encompassing and all knowing from any being on the planet forever, for eternity. Like literally the creator of the universe, everything, the multiverse.
So this Conor McGregor fuck, Caesarean, Irish, whatever. He also stated, in quote, the Nephilim established their main headquarters, Atlantis, on the continent of Appalachia. And from this center, they could quarrel and experiment on the indigenous Earth inhabitants that they've taken from cultures and tribes that were shaken asunder by recent celestial catastrophe. So essentially, the Earth, when the Nephilim came and landed over here, Atlantis, end quote, they decided that we could create our own fucking world. Essentially, that's when they said they took traits from all these different cultures and instilled them into us, the Sims 5.
Did you ever watch the anime called Trigun?
No, I've never even heard of that.
Okay, Trigun is very similar to what we're talking about. A alien species of human-like beings comes to Earth and repopulates a planet like Earth. And this is like a 19.
I got you right here. Keep going. Keep going.
I can't say anymore because I want you to watch Trigun now. Trigun is that ridiculous.
So Caesarion also said that the Nephilim broke the code of what is allowed to otherworldly races, I guess you could say, by interfering with the beings living on another planet. They did it by interbreeding with the humans, like we talked about earlier, in an effort to create a slave race to work for them by mixing Nephilim and human DNA. This is referred to in the Bible as, he says, where it tells of how the sons of God took wives from the daughters of men. Michael puts forward the idea that the evil in the world and that's in us has come from mixing this Nephilim DNA with the human DNA. And we talked about that earlier, how you're pissed off, you're mad. Like,
he thinks that the negative tendencies of human beings became prevalent because of the fact that the Nephilim actually interbreeded with the humans.
Yeah, so some people think that the Nephilim are fallen demons, and fallen demons are once upon angels.
If they were more advanced, then they would have had more experience with sin in general, right?
Yeah.
So they might have introduced that to human beings, or what we used to have been.
Was it the snake or the apple?
Oh man, this is
Did the
difficult
apple or the snake come first?
I had a good point about a second ago, and then I realized I was way too drunk to even try to freaking reiterate that point.
Do you want to know David Icke's theory about Atlantis?
Yes, I love David Icke, man. Everybody says he's crazy. He was a freaking soccer player. He was a freaking ridiculous soccer player. A decently good soccer player, and he has turned into somebody.
Dude, what do they say? He took too many headers. He did too many headers.
No, he was actually decently. He's trying to figure everything out. He's
in David Icke's book, The Children of the Matrix, he referred to the Guanches. Guanches, I think that's how you say it. They were a Neolithic blonde race who lived in the Canary Islands before the Spanish conquistadors came over and fucked them all up. And he tells us that when European explorers first landed in the Canary Islands, the people said they were descendants of the Atlanteans, and they were shocked to realize that other people had survived the cataclysm of the fucking destruction of Atlantis.
When the Clovis comet hit, basically.
But there were some other sources that say the Guanches were descended from the Berber tribes of North Africa, but they're still. But even then, there might still be a link that the Berber people live in the Atlas mountain range, and Atlantis. It's the same root word meaning. And you ever think about like the English language, like every word is a derivative of
some kind of other language.
There's always the root of the word, and then
English is a very specific language where it does have a lot of derivatives from other languages.
Many words have different meanings. And then, David Icke also thought that he was saying in his book, The Children of Matrix, he said, a text detailing Atlantis called The True History of Mankind over the last 100,000 years was destroyed with thousands of others when the Great Library of Alexandria was destroyed in AD 391. Dude, and when someone tells you like
that wasn't the only library that was big back then. There was a bunch of like decent.
But Egypt was the powerhouse. Yeah. Egypt was the all-seeing eye.
So here's
Egypt.
I
think that my thing with Egypt, I think that it was a bad place.
It could have been very, very similar to modern day.
Was it the start of slavery? Was he
not the start? Everybody. Okay, so if we were being watched over by some higher celestial beings with like a sixth sense or whatever, and they're waiting for the most worthy version of human beings to pop out, then a lot of the tendencies of evil overtaking people like the people of Egypt, or overtaking Atlanteans, for example, would dissuade them from using those people. So are we in a test right now? Like, are we being tested right now specifically to see if we can cohabitate with these aliens that are, I guess you can call them aliens.
If conspiracies initiated from the beginning of time, would someone have stolen all the knowledge from the Library of Alexandria before it was destroyed?
Library of Alexandria.
Maybe the Knights Templar role.
No. The Library of Alexandria was actually basically just a collection of as much as they can afford to collect. So the king or the leader of the time was like, go and collect as many books as you can and bring them to the library. This does not mean that they studied it. This does not mean that they studied it at all. They just wanted to have a really badass library and like show it off essentially.
But wouldn't that be incompetent? Because
yeah, they were incompetent.
Imagine.
But by the way, this was not the best library of the time. Technically the best library of the time was a different library. It had over 200,000 scrolls in it.
What was that library?
Man, I wish I gotta look it up on my phone.
Tower of Babel?
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, but basically, a lot of criticism from the time was like, you guys are just collecting knowledge for no reason. You guys are using it for anything. Essentially, the Library of Alexandria. This does not mean that there was not some great knowledge in there. There probably was some ridiculous stuff that got lost. There probably was, but there was plenty of libraries before.
That's how all the how the pyramids are built. All that knowledge was in the Library of Alexandria.
A little bit of a side note, but the pyramids were built watertight for a reason, I believe. I think the pyramids were actually power.
They were an energy conductor.
A conductor or a producer of energy, meaning like they were power plants. They were power plants. The Great Pyramids were power plants, in my opinion.
I'm in that boat too.
Awesome.
And I want to go to Egypt so bad to go check them out.
The craziest image of the Egyptian pyramids was a couple of Russians that ran up there illegally and took a picture from the top. This is a pretty cool picture.
Hell yeah.
Check it out, man.
That's what I would want to do.
That'd be awesome.
We got to get to the top somehow because that was the pinnacle of the conductor.
Pinnacle of human.
That's the third eye right there,
the pinnacle of human evolution. And if our evolution and man, there's a lot to it. And by the way, these aliens, if they did live like thousands and thousands of years, this would be just a speck in a pan. They would be looking at us like scientists look at petri dishes. You know what I mean? Oh, this one didn't work. Next one. This one didn't work. Next one. This one didn't work. Next one. And until we work. So if we can actually come together and become the ultimate race of people, I guess you can say, they'd be like, this one kind of has promise, and then they would show us the enormity of what they know. And by the way, even what they know is not what God knows. Even what they know is still limited. You know what I mean? It has to be. There's no way that they think they are gods. If they are that smart, they know that they are not gods because that's just how it works. God is the ultimate programmer. If you
learn how to code, pussy.
Okay, so here's a good comparison. So, do you think that the NPCs in a video game believe the programmer exists?
No,
they don't.
But are we talking about Westworld?
Anything.
Because in Westworld, they're figuring it out.
Oh, maybe in Westworld. maybe in Westworld.
Have you watched Westworld?
No, I have not.
Oh,
no.
man.
So
fuck you up.
So, like in GTA 5, there's some dude at a strip club. You think he knows a programmer exists?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So, every human being that doesn't believe God exists.
Well, that just ties all the way back into the simulation theory, Mose.
Yeah, a little bit, for sure. But like, okay. Man, this is getting more complex than I would have been prepared for. But that's fine. I got my alcohol.
Right. And with that, one more thing from David Icke.
We got 8 minutes.
I got you. We're closing. David Icke asks David Icke's last question: why isn't the story of Atlantis and Mu? We didn't touch on Mu, but Mu is also they say it's a continent that's similar to Atlantis. Another day for another time. And he asked why was that not a key part of official history? Because knowledge has been systemically suppressed and or destroyed
for a specific reason.
And as to what Plato, because Plato's the godfather of Atlantis theories. Okay, everything comes from Plato.
Technically, it's from Solon. If you were to listen to Plato said he got his knowledge from Solon. And Solon said he got it from Egyptian priests that knew about the previous world. The previous world being like what happened before the Great Cataclysm. So apparently Egyptian priests knew about the previous world. They told it to Solon, and Solon told it to Plato. And Plato took a bunch of psychedelics, and he's like, "This makes sense. This is how it works. And then he made it palatable for us current human beings to digest, essentially. And I believe there is a lot of truth to it. I really do. So
with this being said, as we wrap this up, put a bow on it, was Atlantis a real place?
I tend to think it was, and
would you put your left nut on it? Because I would.
Well, I got 2 nuts, so yeah.
Yeah, I can spare one.
You can spare one, exactly.
Fucking A, I love it. Guys, thank you for listening to the RoadHouz Podcast. This is the most natural and unapologetic podcast in the world. Hey, tell your friends, especially tell your mother, and if she's hot, tell her twice. Hey, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, share our videos, follow us on YouTube, the RoadHouz Pod. We're on Instagram. What are we on Instagram? The RoadHouz Pod. Yeah, we're the RoadHouz Pod on Instagram. Patreon. Follow us on Patreon. We got a video on there of how Dr. Etienne explains the curse that was placed on the Hollywood. That, I mean, it's still working today, boys and girls. So yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. Happy New Year's. And if we're the last voice that you hear in your ears before we disintegrate in 2021,
I hope you
I love you all.
The show.
I love you all, except you assholes who took Bulbasaur with your first pick. Fuck you guys. Hey, RoadHouz out.
All right, peace.
With all the rest, I took a breath. With all the rest, you left me alone in an old lawn chair. The stars appeared as I sat and stared. All I got left is a 6-pack of beer. Waking up seeing that you're not here. Slowly losing grip. This feeling is a trip. No, won't go that way. No, don't fear this place.
3 shots of whiskey, 3 shots of rye, 3 shots of Crown, man, as hard as I have tried.
With all the rest, I took a breath. Just to have it taken away. Just to have it taken away.
Just to have it taken away.
Just to have it taken away. Just to have it taken away.
Slowly losing grip.
Slowly losing grip on it all. No, won't go that way. No, don't fear this place. Slowly losing grip. This feeling is a trip. No, won't go that way. No, won't fear this place. Just to have it taken away. All the rest, I took a breath. Just to have it taken away. Peace be with you. 1, 2, 3. That's how many Lamborghini I see. Check out my garage, bigger than the Taj Mahal.
I took a breath. 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 I took a breath.
No, won't go that way. No, won't fear this place. Slowly losing grip. This feeling is a trip. I took a breath. With all the rest, I took a breath. all the